Hey everybody, Nathan Ronen, CFA here with another update. This is actually a career kind of update again because people are asking me more and more for these. And of course, I want to make you happy, and we don't want to make every video just about mock exams, CFA exam, study tips, strategies, and all that. So this one I would call Maserati, Cadillac, and the CFA program. Are they related? If you want to hear more about this, please press the subscribe button now and then the notifications button so that you can continue to receive these updates on a weekly or bi-weekly basis as we post them to our YouTube channel. One of the questions I get a lot of times from candidates is, and this is why I'm, putting this segment together, is, Nathan, I'm thinking about participating in the CFA program, or, hey, Nathan, I am in the CFA program. How relevant do you think the curriculum, the material that's presented in the CFA program is to the real world? In other words, if I'm studying this stuff, is it going to help me in the real world? If I learn about financial analysis, will I use it in the real world? I mean, how, and are the examples that the CFA Institute uses in its material, are they realistic? Are they real world examples? Can I do better, in the real world getting the CFA program? Because I'm investing time, I'm investing money, I'm investing effort. So I want to know if it's going to pay off or not, or should I do something else? Excuse me. Now, this is kind of a tough question to answer, okay? So I'm going to try to say it and by using an example like this, okay? In the CFA program, they teach you at level 1 and a little bit at level 2 about leases. You get into it more at level 1, where they talk about different types of leases, like an operating lease, a financing lease. They talk about leases from the lessee's perspective. Then they talk about leases from the lessor's perspective, the cash flows, the interest revenue, the impact on the balance sheet, the income statement, the statement of cash flows, the characteristics of the two types of leases, what qualifies as an operating lease, what qualifies as a financing lease, what kind of leases can the lessor do, what kind of leases can the lessee do. They get into all of that stuff, and some of it is complicated for some candidates. For some others who like financial statement analysis or accounting, it's not that tough. So you learn a little bit about leases, and you learn about the different parties to the lease and what they're looking to get and what interest rates they use and all that. Okay, where am I going with all this? Well, so the question is now, is everything that you learn about the leases going to help you in the real world? Are you going to be able to solve lease problems? Are you going to be able to determine what's the best lease that you should do? Well, I'll give you an example of something that I just encountered, okay? Earlier this month, I decided that, I had 3 cars, for the family, and 2 of the cars I wanted to get rid of. I just didn't like them anymore. I was tired of driving them. One of them wasn't even really being used. And what kind of cars were they? I'm just going to give you the data. One of them was a 2022 Honda HR-V. It had about 21,000 miles on it, which isn't that much used. And on top of that, it also had, a bit of financing left. Okay, there was about $16,300 worth of financing still left on about 2.5 years of payments. It was my daughter's car. Okay, and the lease payments, not the lease payments, the financing payments were about $599 a month. Okay, all right. Then I had another car, which was a Honda CR-V, which is a little bit larger if you know the Honda vehicles. And it was a 2017, not 2022, 2017. It had 99,853 miles, so close to 100,000 miles on it. Had a little bit of, fender bender damage, a little, not anything critical, which every car has when you have children in the family. Anyhow, no pun intended. But anyway, but it had no financing left on it. It was completely my car. I had paid it off. It was mine. All right. I wanted to get rid of these 2 cars, so I decided to see what kind of options I have out there. And I was thinking initially about financing it, but then I actually went with leasing. And then I ended up doing 2 things. I replaced the Honda HR-V, the 2022, with the 21,000 miles on it, relatively new, with 16,000 $500 or so still left in financing. I decided to replace that with a Cadillac, but I decided to lease the 2024 Cadillac XT5. I settled on the XT5. It had a sticker price of about $53,195. That was the manufacturer suggested retail price. There was some rebates involved in all that. They were willing to trade in, my 2022 car, okay, and pay off the financing on it. So they were willing to give me $19,000 for a car that basically had $16,355, or let's say $16,500 worth of financing left on it. So there was a very small margin there. And obviously, what was the dealer looking to do? Probably fix it up a little bit, repair anything, update it, all that, and then sell it probably for about $24,000. Obviously, it would cost the dealer a little bit of money to fix it up and all that and refresh it, and then they wanted to sell it quickly, so they didn't want to put it at a very high price. Okay, and to give you an understanding, the Blue Book value, or the value if you look to the car services, was about $23,120. So they were giving me quite a bit below, what it was being, what the retail value was, let's say, because they're not going to give me retail, they're going to give me wholesale. And, what they're going to do, they gave me $19,000, and I ended up accepting the lease and, accept the lease payments at whatever the lease payments are now. I think it's like $695, who cares, $695 a month. And then I decided to take the other car, and I decided, well, let's not argue why and if it was a wise idea, but I decided to buy a little toy, and I decided to trade in the 2017 Honda CRV with almost 100,000 miles on it, with no payments, no nothing, no financing. And I received $15,000 for that car, $15,000, and it was applied to the lease on a Maserati, Grecale GT 2024. Love the car, driving the car, absolutely ecstatic. And had no mileage on it. It was a new car right off the lot. And I ended up paying only $550 a month for the lease. And in fact, the first lease payment, you don't pay with Maserati. They pay it off for you, okay? And so it's really I took a 2-year lease on the Maserati, so I only have to make 23 payments instead of 24. And on the on the Cadillac, I forgot to say, on the Cadillac, it's a 39-month lease. So $695 for 39 months and $550 for 23 months. Okay. So why am I giving you all this data? Is it to impress you that I have a Caddy or a Maserati? Then you're missing the point. No, that's not the point. The point that I'm trying to say is, okay, I just learned about leases in the CFA program. Can I now go out and figure out what's a good lease, what's a bad lease, what's the dealer getting, what kind of incentives is he getting? Why was the Maserati able to give it to me at a lower lease payment compared to the Cadillac? Was a $695 a good payment? Was it not a good payment? Was the $550 a good payment? Was it a bad payment? Did they get the better lease? Did I get the better lease? Who did we both benefit from it? That's the real world. Figuring out whether, you're making the appropriate lease payments, or whether the dealer is making the deal or getting the better part of the deal, but is learning about a financing lease and a operating lease and a direct financing lease or a sales type lease, or the cash flows and the impact on the balance sheet, the income statement, the statement of cash flow, going to help you with a real life problem like this? Probably not. Okay, so the question that you're asking is, does the CFA program have any relevance in the real world? And the answer is not yes and not no, okay? What the CFA program will give you is it will give you the opportunity to be familiar with concepts, ideas, terminology. In fact, some of the problems that they do will help you to, on a more very basic level, understand what you're doing, let's say in this case, when it comes up to leases. But is it going to make you a lease expert? Are you going to be able to go out there and negotiate the best lease that you can for a machine or for a car in this case? No, because there's going to be all kinds of variables or factors in the real world that the examples in the CFA world cannot simulate. And there's going to be factors and variables that they can simulate. But for the most part, a lot of it is also due to the dynamics. How much does the dealer want to get rid of the car? How much does the dealer want to incentivize you to lease the car or finance the car? What kind of interest rate can he give you on a financing? What's the money factor on a lease? Okay, these are all factors that cannot be brought out in the readings because it would make it would just be too difficult to emulate. So everything generally in academia or in the CFA program or in your MBA program is going to be with simplified assumptions, with simplified examples. It's going to illustrate the point, but on a more simplified basis. So the answer to your question is, does it help with the real world? To a limited extent. Will it make you an expert as a financial analyst? No. Is it going to make you an expert stock picker? No. Is it going to make you an expert on lease payments and when to undertake a lease and when not to undertake a lease? No. That's all done through something very important called experience, the experience that you get on the job. Okay, so when you're working at the Maserati dealer or the Cadillac dealer, they're going to teach you about how to create the lease as an employee. They're going to teach you what goes into the lease. You're going to learn all the the hidden incentives that they get to do it, or what have you, and on how to structure it that you wouldn't get out of a textbook example in a CFA curriculum. So that's what I'm trying to point out to you is, yes, the CFA will help you to understand things better. It'll help you to apply it to a limited extent, but no, it's not going to make you a professional analyst, professional economist, professional financial statement analyst, professional lease expert, professional fixed income analyst. No, that is going to come with experience, exposure, and time. Okay, so what I'm trying to say to you is, yes, do the CFA program, but don't have expectations that are unrealistic. And if you like this example with the Maserati and the Cadillac, and you want to make some comments or you want to ask them, go right ahead. It was therefore to make this a little bit more interesting. Have a great day. And if you're interested in working with somebody like me to pass your CFA exam, check me out at chalkandboard.org. That's CHALK and AND, board, BOARD. That's chalkandboard.org. And my number there, my email is there, and you can always reach out to me and ask me questions. Hope you enjoyed watching this vid. Bye-bye.